Yo, what's up everybody? My name is Flocka and today we've got another expert mode episode. This time we're going to show off the ultimate expert mode museum in LEGO Fortnite Odyssey. We put a lot of detail into this and I'm super proud with how it turned out. There's a lot of detail still to go as I haven't hit the build limit, but I wanted to show off what we had so far. There's a couple of builds that we got done while we were working on the museum, like the trophy room for the fish and the statues, the graveyard itself, as well as a couple of expert mode vehicles. They're going to both be highly recognizable because I have tutorials on both. The one I'm going to show you is the All for One. We actually had to build it in a different color. We'll show you why we had to do that in today's video, so stay tuned because there's a lot to show you. Don't forget to drop a like on the video and use code FLOCKA in the item shop. Let's get right into the video. Our build starts off with some stairs. I wanted to have this elevated in a giant staircase leading up to the actual museum. I focused on gray colors for the most part, using some haunted pillars. I figured I was going to be using a lot of these as well as gray flooring. So lots of granite would be needed to finish this project, but I started to kind of get an idea of what I was going for here, so I started to fill in the walls. And to be honest, I thought this was a pretty good start, but there was still a lot to do and I was nervous. So all I did was start off by building up the staircase at the bare minimum, putting some granite foundations on the side, making sure that they were hanging over a little bit, and then just filling it in. I started thinking about the doorway and what this would all look like, and it was kind of hard to get a grasp on it since I have ADHD, so I just went on and worked on something else until I could come back, which is a very good tip for those of you who are maybe in a creative block. Just go ahead and work on something else, and when you come back you might have a new perspective, and that's exactly what I did. I went to work on this side waterfall. I was gonna put one on both sides, so basically what I'm doing throughout the build is putting all the detail on one side and then copying it another day on the other side. So we built ourselves a waterfall and then made a pond at the bottom. I ended up surrounding that pond with wooden foundations. I think that gave it a really nice effect. And then I added a little bit of detail to the bottom of the waterfall just to kind of make it look like that water was pouring. All in all, I think this portion of the project turned out really well. And if you want to make waterfalls for yourself, I have a tutorial linked down in the description where you can find that to build them exactly how I am. Meanwhile, at the top of this structure, I want to add in a pond on both sides, trim it with some granite, and then throw in a water fountain. I think this will absolutely wrap up the waterfall structure and its look perfectly. So I'm using the dine-in fence pieces as well as Gainsborough corners to kind of make it look like a water fountain. I also found some nice awning pieces from the Friendly Neighborhood set that made it look like water was pouring over. And like I said, down in the description, we'll have the video so you can do that for yourself. But this is what it looked like after the first day of construction. Still a lot of changes to make, but let's get to day 2. Day number 2 didn't have a lot going on for me. I just wanted to add some details up on the wall, really give some depth in terms of rock texture on this wall because it's really flat. I also went ahead and added in some towers, just kind of messing around with the pieces, even throwing in a side waterfall on the wall there. And to be honest, I think this turned out pretty good. There's some things I maybe would change about the towers and whatnot, but once we get this all filled in, it's not gonna look too bad. We're really just throwing pieces in and using up every ounce of creativity we can in one area. Once we get burnt out or the creativity starts to slow, we just move ourselves to a different area. And it happened a lot. Like right here, we were working on the side and now we want to work on the trophy fish room. So that's how we ended this stream and this day of building, was by completing this room, at least just the shape of it. Now it was time for the next day of building. I wanted to start this off by giving myself a faster way to grab resources. So I went ahead and built the All for One all-purpose vehicle. This thing has the ability to drive. It's got a speed boost. It turns on a swivel, so no thrusters. So that means that it can also be used as a farming vehicle, and it moves really fast in the air. We use this for literally everything from here on out. we're able to farm every single material in the game. And this made it so much easier to finish the project, as I was able to grab way more than enough granite and wood for the job. With the All for One in hand, I was never gonna have to go farming again until at least the end of this project. I had all the material I needed, and with that, I decided to start constructing the actual trophy room and get through the bulk of the project. I had been procrastinating a few things like replicating what I did on one side to the other side, as well as building the actual trophy room. It's because those projects made me more nervous than anything when trying to replicate, make something look just the same, or attacking a brand new concept. I get a little bit scared and I will put it off until I finish everything else and I have to take care of it. And that's exactly what I did in this case, putting off the pond and also putting off the trophy room. But after a while, I finally pulled up my pants and we got this done. I don't know. I wanted a really cool interior, so I used those Raven's Roost floor pieces because, like I said, a little accent of color never hurt anybody. And I really do like using these upside down as a roof piece. We got the base structure of the trophy room done, so now we've got the base structure of the trophy room for the fish and the trophy room for our level 10 villages. With that, all I needed to do was tie it off with a gate because it looked kind of funky being wide open. It looked more like a garage. So I used some of those haunted gates, threw those in. They look fantastic. All we got to do here is finish off the roof. I think it turned out pretty good. What do you guys think? Yeah, that turned out pretty good. Still got a little bit of a ways to go, but don't worry, we will be getting this done fairly quick. But the most important thing that I can show you is that we are putting our Grasslands trophy into its rightful place inside of the trophy room. And then we're getting to work on the fishing trophy room, putting some nice floors up on the top, getting ourselves a nicer ceiling instead of looking at the bottom of those previous floor pieces. We're getting something a little smooth and with a little bit of pattern, and all I needed to use was a little trigger plate to get that to work. If you haven't learned that trick by now, there's a ton of really cool videos out there that'll teach you how to build upside down at an angle. I'll have a couple of those creators videos linked down in the description. But yeah, inside of the fish trophy room, we really dug into our bag and decided to try to put some indoor waterfalls in. And it turned out pretty awesome. I couldn't believe it was able to get it to look like this, but I used a lot of these tiny granite support pieces. They've got that like lighter white / gray on them. And I was using this and those haunted floors to add a ton of accent to this room, as well as the Gainsborough corner. You see that there's some white and some gray on those corners. It looks so much better than just having a pure color piece. I hit up the stream chat because I was curious about how many fish there were to get legendary. And they told me it was like 20. And I realized that that wasn't going to be enough room on the wall. So we went ahead and constructed this middle wall. And it forced me to kind of level up my building a little bit. Not because I wasn't able to do it, but because I usually just don't. I don't care about doing trim work. I don't care about doing smooth ceilings. But here, I really wanted this to look 100% finished. So I went and detailed off this mid wall and added all the trim to the rest of the room. And the black accent ended up looking amazing. But it was time to actually catch a fish so that we could put our first trophy on the wall. And I couldn't just let this old shack sit here while I was casting my rod. So we went and spruced it up just a tiny bit, added some chests and a little bit of light, and we casted our rod out. And to be honest, we didn't catch anything here at the lake. I also didn't have any bait buckets that were purple. So I had to go back to the Grasslands base, concoct ourselves some epic bait buckets, and go on the hunt for our first legendary fish. We found an epic spot in the river, and it took quite a few tries, but eventually we caught our first legendary, which ended up being the legendary slurpfish. Once the fish was bagged, we finished off the fishing spot and we headed back to the museum to put our first plaque on the wall, and I just got so excited. Seeing our very first legendary fish on the wall got me pumped up to continue to fill this out over time and during our journey. We even caught the legendary fry fish, so we threw that on the wall, and this was going to conclude our day of building. The next couple of build sessions were all about details, finishing out the wall, adding in flower beds and the like, but also constructing a brand new vehicle. Yes, in expert mode, we cranked out the flying base, which now has a name. Introducing you to Destiny's Bounty, the winning comment on my most recent video in the naming contest of this flying base. This has got everything that I need, right? So in tandem with the All for One, I'm gonna be able to farm materials fast, travel all the way across the map in less than 5 minutes, and also have a flying station with all the workstations and about 12 chests of storage. So an absolute behemoth of an expert mode vehicle, and I'll never have to throw down a random workstation ever again. It is a good thing we built this too, because immediately after finishing construction, we were messing around with the All for One in the Frostlands, getting resources, mining trees and rocks, and then my good old friend, the Frostland Stormbrute, decided that it was a perfect time to come say hi. What? Are you serious? One more for good measure, huh? I'm not sure I can just let you get away with that. I tried my hardest, but he indeed got away with it. What? What? What?
Why does this game hate me?
If anybody knows why, please let me know down in the comments. But for now, I mean, look, we've got one ship and we've traded it out for another. And though the flying base is incredible, I would much rather have that All for One if I had to choose between the two. But I don't have to choose. I'm gonna have both. So I flew the Bounty over to the scene of the crime and we salvaged the All for One. I didn't realize how much loot I actually had on this vehicle, but even though it was a lot of loot to pick up and transfer, it fit nice and snug inside of Destiny's Bounty. We went ahead and dispatched that brute that was nearby, so if you guys see me building a Frostlands village in the future, just know that I do not have to beat the Frostlands brute, because we just did. Getting vengeance for the All for One. I went home back to the museum and I decided that I needed to build a new one right away. I was not going to be farming with no pickaxes, no axes, none of that. But this time I decided to do a different color. I kind of wanted to mix it up and see what I could do here. So I went with some of the, I don't even remember what they're called, but they're a lighter brown floor. And we basically just did the same thing that we did before, except this car was slightly longer. We made a longer gyro blade, so it's a little bit bigger underneath. If you don't know what the gyro blade is, it's that big mass of granite that's underneath the vehicle. I use this to turn instead of thrusters. That saves me extra channels. It allows for the balloon propulsion and the farming without messing anything up. And after a little bit, we got our All for One version 2 built. I kind of like the color. After throwing the amber chest on, I thought it looked pretty good, and we decided to get into the last final part of this museum build, which was going to be super important. I wanted a way to document my deaths here on the expert mode run, and I figured there was no better way than to dump every piece of my loot on every death inside one of these coffins. And these coffins, I can't even actually put anything inside, so I got to use like a little storage chest, and then I'm just putting that little lectern thing on the side just to add a little bit of touch. But eventually I'll be buying that Raven's Decor bundle within the item shop. You have until March to get it, and this is going to allow you to place coffins down that have storage, so you don't have to put the chest on the side. The hope is over time that we don't have to add any more tombstones, but it is expert mode and I am quite a reckless player, so expect more graves coming soon to the graveyard. So the final day of building here, I didn't actually finish, I'm still not done, but I want to show you what we did put in and what we're going to keep putting in. And one of those things was these cool trees that I made out of black stair railings and a black post. And I also found out that you can bury just about any plant into the side of the ground. So what was once a flat, barren wasteland of a hill is now a lush, colorful, and exciting hill of greenery and plants. I honestly couldn't have asked for a better couple of days of creativity while getting this museum project done. I think it turned out absolutely amazing, and I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed any part of this process and you're still here, please drop a like on the video, all right? We're gonna be filling up this museum as we push along through our expert mode story, so stay tuned, turn on those noties, take it easy everybody, and I will see you in the next one.